Okay, in this video, we are going to be dealing with a difficult reading comprehension passage. And so whenever you're dealing with a passage, whether it's very short, about that long, or as long as this passage, you always want to make sure that you are reading actively. You are constructing meaning in your head, and you are looking more or less for the main purpose. So you have an idea, what is this passage about? What is the author saying? So I'm going to allow you to pause the video and take a couple of minutes, no longer or no more, to read through this passage. Okay, let's say now that you've read through the passage. So you should have been able to come up with, okay, well, it's about one novel, and what this novel is, whether or not this novel, Under the Volcano, is a very good novel. It talks about its critical reception. Not everyone thinks it's great, and it gives reasons why not everyone thinks it's great. But in the end, it says here, but by my reckoning, here's the main point, it's actually a very good, breathtaking even calls it, work. So Under the Volcano, very good, despite a mixed critical reception. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to deal here, and we're going to go to the question type. And this question type is a tricky one. It is called a multiple answer question type, and you will have a couple, if not more, of these on the actual GRE. This is a new question type. I never had these before on the reading comp, and you'll notice right off the bat that there are only 3 answers. However, here's the tricky part. Any of these 3 answers can be correct, and any combination of them can also be correct. So you could have A, could be B, it could be both A and B. Maybe the answer is C alone, or it could be all 3, A, B, and C, or B, C, etc. And so you're going to see that there are a total of 7 different combinations that you can choose. So if you wanted to guess randomly and you're hoping to get lucky, it would be a 1 in 7 chance, which isn't that great. So we have to be very careful on these. And by being careful, we want to make sure we always go back to the passage and deal with one of these answer choices at a time. Can we find information to either support or not support this? Now, this is a tricky question, because if you remember the question itself, it says, which of the following does the author of the passage not imply? So if something goes beyond the scope of the passage, then the author does not imply that. So we have to make sure that it's a safe inference. Okay, let's start with A. Both Lowry and Ellison wrote numerous novels. Can we infer that? Now, of course, we're saying not imply, so we cannot imply that A is the answer. So let's go back. Let's go back here to the answer choices. And at the very beginning, or the passage rather, it says Lowry's reputation, like Ellison's, rests on a single novel. And that's all. That's all it says about the number of novels they've written. Now, maybe Ellison wrote many, many novels, and Ellison's reputation rests on only a single novel. Perhaps Lowry only wrote 2 or 3, and his reputation rests on 1. We do not know that they both wrote numerous novels just because it says their reputation rests on a single novel. Therefore, the author does not imply that. That's going too far beyond the scope of the passage. And so for us, we can say, okay, well, yeah, the author does not imply A, so A is an answer. Okay, again, we're going to circle all that applies. So A is 1. Let's look at B. Under the Volcano is a multifaceted work that lends itself to various interpretations. Now, maybe you've read this work, maybe not. It's not necessarily as common as 1984 or To Kill a Mockingbird or something like that. But this could be true in the real world. But the question is it true in the passage? So it's multifaceted. Well, interestingly enough, if we look here at the bottom, we will see that it is a rich novel. So there's a lot going on here. So it's multifaceted. Great. So the author implies that it's multifaceted. Does that mean, however, that B is the answer? Let's look for that rotten spot on the fruit. And everything is good. That lends itself to various interpretations. Does it talk about that? Well, let's go back to the passage. Let's see what the passage has to say. And the passage says, well, it's been received differently. Some people think it's not that good of a novel. They say it's a bad imitation of a novel. We can see that right here. Rather good imitation of an important novel, but not necessarily a good novel. Others are interested in the author's doomed life. And some have turned it into this cryptic coded message of these allusions and arcane correspondences. So people are looking at this novel in many different ways. So it's multifaceted, And people are thinking, it could have these meanings, these allusions that no one else is picking up on. So it can be interpreted. So we go back there and we see that, indeed, this is actually not an example of a rotten fruit. This works and this works. So the author does imply this. So we get rid of B because, again, we're looking for not imply. Okay, answer choice C. Some of the novel's notoriety stems from the author's personal life. In fact, if we go back to that part that I just read, it says right here that it's a cult favorite of readers more interested in the doomed author. Let's learn about the author. Why was he doomed? So some of its notoriety, it comes from people interested in Malcolm Lowry or the author's life. So we can say for sure that, okay, the author does imply that. So C is not the answer because, again, we're going for not imply. And in this case, the answer is just A, just one answer. Could have been A, B, and C, but the answer is only A. Just like that, there, we can circle it. So what we did, again, to review for this difficult passage is we took it apart. We made sure to get the big picture in our own words. And then we went through each one of these answer choices. And by reading the passage, of course, we have an idea. We have an idea of the geography of the passage, where things are. So we can go back to those parts, whether it's A, B, or C, look for the information, and answer the question, which of the following does the author not imply, which we've done, and the answer is A.